weekly Fast Track Money YouTube live session. As usual, my host is Matthias Richter. He is also known as Financial Imagineer. And is this your first time come here? So I'm Yasi. I'm the creator behind Fast Track. We have podcasts. We are a content platform. So you can find all the information about entrepreneurship, career, and money on fasttrack.life. And my co-host is Matthias Richter, who is also known as Financial Imagineer under the blog name of financial-imagineer.com. So you can find all the information about personal finance, financial independence on his blog. And today with us, we have a special guest. He is called Steve. Steve, welcome to our podcast. No, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry, welcome to our Fast Track Money live session, not podcast, because you are on the podcast already.
I know. I think the podcast is coming out soon.
Yes, next Tuesday. So audience, watch it out. So Steve, he's also known as Frugal Expat on Twitter, and he shares his personal experiences with you, how he enjoyed his life, travel around the world, and still on his way to achieve financial independence and retire early. So I think Steve mentioned that his goal is to retire within 9 years, but how he's going to do it, let's hear more about it in this session. And as usual, feel free to leave your questions in the comment section. We will try to answer all your questions. And next, I will hand it over to Matthias.
Okay, thank you so much for the intro, Yasi. So Steve here, I think we have many things in common. I really like it. When I saw his profile, he's currently living in Taipei, in Taiwan. I used to live there many years as well. My wife is from Taiwan. And when I found his profile, we immediately connected somehow. And what I really like about his way to approach financial independence is that on one side, he's living the life of his dreams already now. So it's not like continuing to delay and see what will happen eventually in 10 years or 20 years from now. No, he's doing it now. He's traveling the world. He's leading a frugal way to live life. And at the same time, he's building up his portfolio to one day really, truly fire and hopefully have even better life, right? So maybe the first question is, so about geographic arbitrage, Steve. Maybe tell us a little bit more. Where are you from? Why you've chosen Taiwan, and where you currently stand on your path?
Yeah, originally I am from Florida, which is in the United States. And right now, I mean, like you said, I'm in Taipei, Taiwan. I'm sorry, I forgot some of your questions.
Just no, simply who are you and where are you from, and how you use geographic arbitrage between Florida and Taiwan? How you unlock this life now? What's the secret?
Thanks, Matt. The secret, well, I was sitting at my desk just for hours on end, and it was just I was doing nothing, and I figured out that life was just passing me by. And so at that point, I wanted to do something different with my life. I wanted to see more things. And at that point, I was 30 years old, and I had not traveled. I had not seen many things, and I wasn't living a life that was fulfilling. And so what I did was I started reading about travel blogs, started reading about how to travel cheaply, and even looking at places where maybe I can save more money in order to travel better and to see more of the world. And so that's how I ended up in Taiwan. I left the USA in 2017, August of 2017, to Taiwan. And my goal was to save money, travel the world, and that was about it. I mean, just living life, traveling seemed like it would have been the best thing. And the cool thing about Taiwan is it wasn't just a flat country in the middle of Asia. It was a mountainous country with beaches, waterfalls, rivers, so many cool things you can see. And so that's basically what I would do on the weekends. I would hike, I would go adventuring, go camping, eat lots of great food. And then when I had time off, I could go see other countries. And that's a little bit why I'm using geo-arbitrage. Geo-arbitrage means basically going from basically high income, high prices to more of a low priced area, low cost of living, from high cost of living to low cost of living. And living in the States was definitely way higher than living in Taiwan. And as I moved to Taiwan, I all of a sudden started being more frugal. I was frugal before, but I was saving even more living in Taiwan. Food was cheaper, rent was cheaper, transportation was cheaper. And so I was able to just save more and more money. And this is just part of the way I can also reach financial independence. If I have a higher savings rate, then I can save more and then invest more. And right now, my savings rate is around 60% a month. So I'm averaging about 60%. And then I just put most of that towards, well, I can't travel now because of COVID, but put most of it towards investing.
Mm.
So it's so interesting, your story. I have two questions. Let's rewind a little bit. You are sitting in the office and you are thinking your life is passing by while you're 30 years old, and you think about you move to another country. But have you ever heard of anyone, your friend circle, your family who has done that? Or where did you come up with this idea, even the courage to take action? Essentially, you are moving across the continent.
I didn't know anyone that had left, to a different country. Maybe one person, but he went to Japan and he came back to the States. But I really hadn't talked about it. And so I just started reading travel blogs, and there were people that were being digital nomads and just moving all across the world and traveling. And I just thought, well, if they can do it, I guess I could do it too. So I was just thinking, why not? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, what's at that moment before you made the decision, what's the worst can happen in your mind?
Before I made the decision?
Yeah, what's in your mind? What's the worst that can happen?
I guess, well, maybe I could lose all my money, or maybe, I guess, I don't know. I mean, maybe get food poisoning. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
you could also get food poisoning in Florida, actually.
It is true. It is true. See, there was nothing bad that was stopping me from actually leaving. I guess missing people, but I mean, I have a cell phone. I've got the internet. I can see people and talk to people whenever I want. Well, for the most part, it's 1 a.m. right now.
Yeah, actually, really, there's nothing stopping you. What's the worst can happen? Literally, it's not so bad. So my second question is, you mentioned that you wanted to travel and save. So when did this financial independence and the retire early idea come to your mind?
It came to my mind about the same time of when I was thinking about traveling. I realized I needed money to continue to travel. And in order to continue to travel, maybe I could hit financial independence. And if I could do that early enough, then I would not have to worry about actually working for money. And I realized that a lot of other people in the FIRE community were hitting financial independence in their 30s. And I was thinking, oh, if I could do that, or even get on the path towards that, then my goal of traveling without having to work could be solved. And so that's how I came up with the idea. The same time I was thinking of, I want to travel. How do I pay for it? How can I pay for it long term? And my long-term goal was to travel more and see more places, but I needed money. So financial independence was the goal and the solution to my problems.
And so many people would ask you, how did you plan to find a job? How did you plan to still make good income while saving and traveling? Because in countries that the cost of living is lower, salary level is also lower. So how do you manage that?
Yeah. One way I was thinking was a commodity that a lot of countries needed was they needed English teachers. And since my native language is English, I went and got certified as a teacher of English as a foreign language. And then I just went and applied to as many places as I could. And when I landed in Taiwan, I applied to even more places. And since I was in Taiwan, I was able to just get lots and lots of job interviews really quickly. And I think if you're looking to travel to other countries to live, just look for places that maybe you may have some sort of skill set that could help out with those countries. If that makes sense. Like my skill set at that point was teaching English. And right now, as a teacher of English in Taiwan, I make a pretty good salary. It's not as good as you would say in the US, but since the low cost of living is so low, I can save more money than my counterparts in the US because their cost of living is much higher.
And then you got to travel around the world beyond the region. Because in the US it's so big. If you have to fly out of the US, you have to fly a few hours, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, even living in Florida to California, that's 6 hours. Here in Taiwan, I can fly to the Philippines in 2 hours. Or I can fly to Japan in, I don't know, like an hour and a half or less.
Amazing, amazing. And I really like this lifestyle that, allows people to work from anywhere so they can explore the world a little bit more, see things outside of own country, outside of own culture. Also, Matthias, you can work anywhere in the world, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, as long as I have a laptop or a cell phone and internet connection, it's good to go, right? That's the beauty of the modern world. And also like the need to have an office or something, I think it's a little bit, COVID helped actually to push this even further. Less and less, it's a necessity in this world. And that's truly the beauty of this online kind of thing. And for Steve, maybe I have another question. It's more about frugality. So you're the frugal expat. What would you say if I would ask you, well, I'm asking you right now, what is your number one frugal hack that you think our audience can maybe share? Be it now if they're at home or abroad, anywhere. What's the most frugal hack you have?
I think the one I use all the time is I always ride a bike everywhere. No matter, I mean, you've been to Taipei. Taipei is a pretty big city, right?
Yeah.
Well, I have ridden my bike for like an hour and a half to get from one place to the next. I have ridden my bike all the way to the bottom of Danshui in Taiwan, which is a two hours and 15-minute ride, and then on the way back because I just don't want to pay for public transportation.
It's also good for your health, right? It's like a gym, public gym. You can exercise and you actually don't have to pay anything.
Yeah, and that's one reason my wife likes to do it. She hates paying for gyms, so she would rather just ride her bike everywhere. I mean, we've ridden our bikes around the entire country, but I think even in the States, I could have ridden my bike, but I chose not to because I had a car. And even going maybe a kilometer or a mile in a car was easy. But I could ride a bike and that could be maybe 5 minutes. And that would have saved me money. It would have saved me time and helped me out with my health.
But is there a bicycle lane in Taiwan?
Oh yeah, there's tons of bicycle lanes, and they love bicycles. They'll let them. There's police stations on the East Coast that have like bicycle pumps. They have water fountains, and they'll even give you tea and snacks.
I like that they provide the facilities for biking because I would be so afraid if I'm riding my bicycle on the highway next to all the cars in Switzerland. Or even in Singapore, right? This highway, this cross island east to west, it's just not possible to ride.
I think you get used to it somehow, right? But Steve, before you mentioned your wife, my question now is: Did you know your wife before you went about your big adventurous life, or did you meet your wife on your adventurous life? How did you two meet?
Oh, I met my wife on my adventurous life.
Okay.
Yeah, life. I met her about 3 months after I arrived in Taiwan, and she was probably more adventurous than I was. She
Wow.
had been to, when I met her, I think she had been to maybe 50 plus countries. She has been to now 60 something. She's got a whole spreadsheet of it. And, but I mean, she was way more adventurous. I mean, she's the one that taught me how to, well, ride bikes everywhere.
Cool. Okay, so you didn't have to convince anyone there.
No.
But how did you get your wife on board with you on the fire journey? Because traveling is one side, being adventurous is another side. The financial side. How did you talk to her and get her on board?
That's a great question. That was a harder one than traveling and adventure and frugality, because she already had travel and frugality down. The hard part was putting the money that we're saving into investments. I had talked to her about it, but she was quite skeptical due to I would say family traditions or influences. Her family is Chinese, well, Cantonese from Hong Kong, but her father didn't do well with investments, but he's good at managing a business. So my wife always just saved money and put it in a bank. Now, I was talking a lot about financial stuff with friends and stuff, and so she kept hearing about it. And I invited 2 friends over just to teach them a little bit about personal finance. So my wife was there, and she listened, and it clicked. She said, "All right, Steve, let's just invest. Let's hit financial independence." I was like, "Oh, yes." All I needed to do was actually teach other people instead of just teaching my wife.
Interesting. That's very cool. So
yeah, she actually listened as I was teaching other people how to do personal finance better.
And you started to invest at what age? At 30 or before? Or
I started at 29 years old.
29. Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. Very, very good.
And I'm 34, and I'm 34 now, so about 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
What are the biggest mistakes you made, if you have ever made, in investing?
In investing, one of them was I was investing with a robo-advisor. Do you guys know what robo-advisors are?
Yep.
And I was brand new, didn't know what I was doing. I was putting money into a robo-advisor. And when I got a little bit smarter, I realized, first of all, I wasn't getting any dividends being reinvested. And I was like, oh, I'm losing out on that. All of a sudden, some of the funds got pushed into some higher expense ratio funds that was costing me more money. And then there were some funds that I didn't understand. And so since I didn't understand some of these funds, I decided to kind of pull my money out and put in something I understand with a lower expense ratio that I could auto invest my dividends, which made everything easier.
That's kind of not like a big mistake. You are very well educated before you get started with investing. Any books that you would recommend for someone if they have never started investing? What books have you read at that time?
I think the best book, I would say, if you want to get started investing, it's called The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. It's a great, just direct, easy, simple plan to start your investing adventure.
That's a beautiful book. He wrote it for his daughter, and he kind of put all his life lessons into there, and he considered a lot of things, what ifs, what could happen, and so on. And it's a story book in a way, and if you read it, it doesn't feel like a money book at all. But once you're done, I think you get all the concepts.
Yeah, and you can just keep going back and back and back, and it puts sense into your head. It makes everything simple.
Yeah.
I find it's very interesting how you get your wife on board while you are teaching others. I think this is a very good trick because for the audience, in our money course, we do have students who are interested in learning about personal finance, interested in learning about investing, but they are taking the course, but their husband or their wives did not, right? So it's kind of a dialogue they need to have with their partner to get started as a family, to have a family investment. And it's the method that you mentioned could be very interesting, that you teach somebody else and talk about it, and then let your husband or your wife sit in the conversation, and then passively they learn the rationale behind it.
Yeah, I was quite amazed that actually worked. It wasn't my plan. My plan was to teach my two friends, but my wife was there the whole time. And so, like, as I'm drawing, she's taking pictures and she's thinking, and she's like, "Oh, we need to invest more money, Steve." And I was like, "Yes."
Beautiful.
And then now you have, do you have like a family investment portfolio, for long term?
Yes, we do. Yes.
And then how do you decide how much you put them into traveling, since you live like a frugal life, at the same time you want to financial independence, on the other hand you want to travel more? How do you make the split?
Okay, so what we have is, we have two bank accounts. I think Taiwan is a little bit different. It's hard to have a joint bank account in Taiwan. Do you know anything about this, Matt?
Not too certain about it. No, I had a bank account in Taiwan. My wife has one as well. So we never even looked into joint accounts there.
Yeah. So we have two separate accounts. We've got my wife's account and we have my account. So what we agreed to was, for my account was going to be, all that money was going to go straight to investments. My wife's account would be for travel and for living expenses. So her thought is, if we don't spend much, we have more for travel. And my thought is, well, we don't spend my money, so we're putting it straight to investments.
Oh, cool.
And that's how we kind of keep it separate and kind of keep our focus.
Oh, it's really great because both of you are, yeah, exactly. So you aligned, you're both goes together with your financials. I like that. Some questions about your travels, I think Matt has.
Oh,
Since you travel to so many countries, how many countries?
Personally, I've been to, I think, 21 countries. My wife has been to 60 plus. I have been to 6 continents. My wife has been to 7 continents.
Wow. So that includes Antarctica.
That includes Antarctica. Yes. We were very fortunate. Last spring/winter, my wife and I, during Chinese New Year, like to do some travels. So we were wanting to go to Antarctica, but unfortunately the dates didn't work out. So we went to Morocco instead. But then there was this pandemic that happened. And so all of a sudden, like, our school program got postponed. And so our boss said, you guys can take a few weeks off. So my wife just saw this huge sale to go to Antarctica. All the people from China were canceling. So
why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? We could have joined you.
Yes. I just think, how can you travel hack your way to Antarctica? This was my big question now. So that's very cool. So supply and demand, right? It's all about supply and demand.
Well, and the cool thing was, we got a suite for our room. And I mean, there were like cheap rooms, but ours was the cheapest price and it was a suite. And so we were like, yes. Plus, because of COVID, we got to spend an extra 5 days on the ship. And the company was nice enough to give us a free flight back to Buenos Aires and a free hotel stay at the Sheraton.
My goodness.
Let me ask the golden question. How much is the trip?
All right. The cheapest price you're going to find is about $5,000 per person. 5,000 US.
That's after the discount.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know before the discounts it's 10,000 plus.
It can be anywhere from 6, 7 to 10,000. Yeah.
That's what I saw here as well. So that's amazing, Steve. I saw
Yeah.
and I said, wow, this is a once in a lifetime thing.
Exactly, once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime.
Everybody else is shopping for toilet paper. You are snapping the deals to Antarctica. It's so brilliant.
I love
the best part is like when everybody's shopping for toilet paper, we get stuck in like a harbor, and the first thing we see are Corona beers and toilet paper. Everybody's cheering because we're on a boat.
You got all you need.
That's it.
I was just saying before, I know a saying, it's like when the winds change, some people try to build walls, other people try to build windmills, right? So you have to, if the winds are changing, you have to figure out how to move forward your way, right? And that could be, I go to Antarctica right now because nobody else goes. It's really, really beautiful. But Steve, do you do any kind of travel hacking otherwise? Like what are your frugal tips for the audience if you want to travel cheap or like get around more cheap internationally or even intercontinentally? What are your best tips here, the frugal tips?
Oh, that's great. One of my favorite tips is I love to get travel credit cards with big bonuses. And if you get a credit card, I mean, I always say make sure to pay it off at the end of the statement so you don't rack up any interest payments. But with travel credit cards, first of all, a lot of them will waive a fee for the first year. They'll give you a big bonus, which can be anywhere from $500 to maybe $1,000. And these travel credit cards can also have bonuses on travel. Like I have, my credit card is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which I get 3 points for every dollar I spend traveling on, that means airfare, hotels, or even food. Now, I also got some cashback credit cards that hooked up with that got an extra bonus. So I can actually take those points and just move them straight in, and then I have even more points. So every year what I do is I try to find some sort of credit card that gives me more points and sign up for it, get the bonus, and then I have bonus money to travel more. That would be my first one. I would say make sure to sign up for some certain airline rewards points. Like right now I'm with United, but that can go with Star Alliance, and then you have One World and you have SkyTeam. Those are the three big ones. And if you can use those airline miles to buy flights through other Star Alliance. Like I can use my United miles to fly Singapore Air, or I can use my United miles to fly like ANA or other like Air Canada or other places, or just United. And so that's a way I have bought free flights. Like when I got married, I flew Singapore Air to Australia for free. I just paid some tax on it and used my miles to fly for free.
That's beautiful. I also do that a lot. I think one tip I have is maybe if I may add it, it's some parts, the points, you do not have to convert them to miles right away. It can help you in many ways. Some credit cards that I have, you collect the points, and then at a later stage, number one, it helps you to actually delay the expiry date, because some of these miles may have expiry dates. So if you keep the points in your bank, then you wait until almost the end, you convert it. And my credit cards can actually decide to which kind of air group you can convert the miles. So I can choose for Singapore Airlines or for Marco Polo points for Cathay or whatever. You can then channel it, and then the expiry date is reset, because then once you have the miles, you have another 2 years or something to decide what to do with them. Furthermore, I think thanks to COVID, travel miles are a super important part for airlines, because they need to have cash. So they like to sell these points to credit card companies to mobilize some cash. And if you look at the airlines companies' balance sheets, you will be surprised. some airliners' credit card programs are worth more than the airlines actually itself. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. But okay, that's enough from my side. Maybe one more question. So with such an exciting life, what's next? What other travels do you have planned going forward?
Oh, that's a great question. I really want to go to my last continent, which is Europe. I haven't been to Europe yet. I've been to Africa, South America, North America, Asia, Australia, and Antarctica. And the country I really want to go to is Croatia. So my wife and I have already we've already got a spreadsheet of the places we want to see. Like we would like to go to Croatia, Slovenia, probably go into Vienna and also Hungary as well. So that would be our next big adventure. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but who knows? So I'm going to try to keep collecting points because right now I've got lots of points. So we got some free flights on our way.
Watch out, world. Steve is coming.
That's it.
I have a question related to your after retired life. So in my podcast, right, you mentioned that you plan 9 years that you can achieve financial independence and you can retire early. And now within this 5 years, I'm sure you would already have traveled to so many countries. So what would you do after you retire?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd probably still travel to more countries. There's so much of the world. I mean, there's I think 196 countries, and my wife, she sometimes complains that she's taking me to countries she's already been to. And so I've got to visit some of those countries. Like I haven't been to Italy. Well, I haven't been to Europe. So I would love to see more of Europe. So yeah, I would probably just see how much I can see Europe. Maybe even retire in Portugal. I hear Portugal is really nice for expats.
Yes, yes,
golden
it's very
visa.
nice.
Golden visa in Portugal or in Spain. There's many places they have very interesting programs.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. There's good food, wine, and like coastline. Yeah, there are lots of beautiful countries in Europe. And I was very surprised by hearing that you have never been to Europe. And then both Matthias and I were sitting here. So next time, I hope you can visit us in Switzerland if I'm still here.
Yeah, that would be great. We always love to reach out to friends that are in other countries and see if we can visit them.
So Matt, do you have any other questions for Steve?
Maybe just it went through my mind. Is it a way for you to explore the world so that you can put like marks or grades on each country that eventually you can then decide where to settle? Or do you plan to settle at all? Will traveling be like something you plan to do even after you're retired?
I think traveling would be something I'll do after retirement, but it depends, I would say, on my family situation. Like if my wife and I have kids in the future, I think we would probably settle down in Australia at some point, which is going from a low cost of living to a higher cost of living. But I've already been thinking about how I can do that too. So I've already been planning. But that would not be, I don't know when that would be. So
why Australia?
My wife is from Melbourne, Australia. Her entire mom's family all lives in Sydney. Her entire dad's family all lives in Melbourne. So she loves it. It's not humid like Taiwan, and she doesn't really like humidity, even though she's been here for like 6 years.
Right.
Okay, maybe any questions from the audience? So if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, if you have any questions, now is the time. Just write in the comments if you want to ask anything to Steve. And in the meantime, maybe I think it's very interesting also countries like we just mentioned Portugal or Spain. They have these golden visas. I have also read a lot about Panama. In Panama, you can have a pensionado program where you simply need to provide proof that you have $1,000 per month of passive income, and you are free to go there. And if you have the passive income abroad, it will be tax-free. It will be completely tax-free. Have you read any other countries with programs like that? And if the audience comes with something, we take that later.
Well, I heard Costa Rica is another one as well. I think I was on a podcast with someone, and they had bought some land in Costa Rica, and I think it's maybe around 1,000 or 1,200 USD per month.
Okay.
And I've heard another great country to move to would be Czechoslovakia, or not Czech Republic. But you guys are in Europe, so maybe you guys know a little bit more about that than I do.
I've never been to Czech Republic, Matthias.
No, also not, even though I'm a beer lover and I've heard so many great things about Prague and the Czech Republic in general. I even have friends there. That would be a great reason to go. I just read today Schengen, so within the European Union, it opened up for travel again today. So that could be something to look at now for summer. There's a lot of travel potential eventually now.
Yeah, the one thing I really like about Europe is that you can go with your car or with train everywhere. It's so convenient, and it's another country in few hours, another culture, another food, another cost of living. Yeah, I like it, that part. So short getaways, it's very convenient. Yeah.
When we were younger, when I was in my 20s, there was this Eurorail pass. You pay like $300-400 and you can travel for 30 days all over the place. And you can hop on any train, like the express trains, you have to pay a little extra, but that's it. We went all the way to Finland, to France, to Denmark. We went all over.
Lovely. I don't see any questions.
Awesome.
I don't see any questions from the audience.
Maybe you ask one then. You have one?
So, okay, if you are watching this, either replay later or live. So my question to you is, if you are able to retire in one country or use the geo-arbitrage, which country would you choose and why? Tell us and write in the comment. And Steve already did it, so he's now in Taiwan. Next move, Australia, sometime down the road. And Matthias, maybe you can give us your answer. Which country would you choose?
I think for me, one thing we haven't mentioned here now is also kids, right? So if you talk about family planning, one thing is your parents, and other things later. My wife's parents are in Taiwan, and then the kids, where to raise them. Another thing is where to earn income. So for me, I'm currently kind of between Singapore, Taiwan, and Switzerland, kind of between three places. And that's maybe it's not an answer like that is to the point, go to that country. I think it depends for everyone's situation. But I think if you look at finalizing this answer, it should be something that suits your lifestyle, suits the way you invest. Yasi made a beautiful podcast together with the Nomad Capitalist. Maybe we can share that in the show notes. It's really, really good to listen to that. He's an expert he bought real estate in many, many countries as well. I think it's very, inspiring to have, the world is your oyster in a way, right? You have all these options. So why limit yourself to one place? You can have access in different places in a way. That's my maybe not so easy answer to your question.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for highlighting that. Yes, lifestyle matters, personal situation matters. And yes, the world is your oyster. So with that, I'm going to end this session. Thank you so much, Steve, to coming here. And thank you, Matthias, my co-host. And if you want to learn more about geo-arbitrage, immigration, tomorrow I'm going to record a podcast with an immigration lawyer from Canada. So this session will be live in a few weeks' time. So check out on Fast Track Podcast. And Steve, his podcast session on Fast Track Podcast will come out next Tuesday. So follow us on Spotify or on YouTube. Give it like and check out Financial Imagineers website, my website, fasttrack.life, and Steve's Twitter account. All the links will be in the show notes. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. See you next week.
See you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Yasi.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye-bye.